Horror Minute is rated R. The Rocky Horror Picture Show is also rated R. We're going to spend this time discussing the movie in gory detail, and along the road we will talk about some adult content and use some of our favorite swear words.
Son of a bee sting, what in the Sam Hill? Bless your heart, I'll pray for you.
Consider yourselves warned.
Welcome to Rocky Horror Minute, the podcast where we discuss the Rocky Horror Picture Show 1 minute at a time in excruciating detail. I'm one of your hosts, Kelly.
And I'm your other host, Leandra.
And we're joined once again by our extra special guest, Major Medina of Reflex Point, the Robotech Podcast. Major, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Extra special. Well, how about that?
Well, that is a wonderful way to start that. Speaking of segues, this minute starts with how about that?
Yeah.
I was going to kind of kibitz for a little bit more, but I'll just jump into the description. It's fine. It's fine. So Frank says, well, how about that? Well, babies, don't you panic. And then he walks over to the throne and Brad and Janet follow. And he says, by the light of the night, it'll all seem all right. I'll get you a satanic mechanic. And then Columbia and Frank are kind of dancing in front of the throne and they're moving their hips. And he says, I'm just a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania. From there, you have the Breakfast Club sort of moment. He says, why don't you stay for the night? Riff Raff says night. Frank says, or maybe a bite. Columbia says bite, but she licks. And then Frank goes back to saying, I could show you my favorite obsession. I've been making a man with blonde hair and a tan, and he's good for relieving my tension. I'm just a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania. And you don't know how this song ends just yet. So this is, as I alluded to in the last minute, one of the coolest minutes, at least for me. You get the most iconic, I think, of the visuals that is at least used for advertising. And that's when Frankenfurter's lounging on the throne. And you have Riff Raff on his left, you've got Columbia on his right, and Magenta's kind of over top of them. And we kind of affectionately call that pose the Breakfast Club. Mm-hmm. So it is my favorite thing to kind of recreate as a shadowcaster, but it's also really my favorite of the kind of tableaus that they strike.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when you said Breakfast Club, I was like, oh, that's really funny.
Kelly, do you have any details that you wanted to jump into?
I had a few. My first question is, who is the satanic mechanic?
Ooh, perhaps it is Eddie.
So I always kind of thought Eddie, it doesn't make a ton of sense though, because wasn't Eddie like
a delivery boy?
Well, he was a delivery boy. He was also on ice after brain surgery at this time. I'm not sure Frank was planning on having him fix anybody's car. I don't know if it was just like something Frank said or if it was referring to Eddie. That's why I brought it up.
Okay, so let me be controversial here.
Okay.
Satanic mechanic is my least favorite line in this entire movie.
In the whole movie?
Yeah.
It's not a great line, but wow.
Yeah, it because it sounds like they just threw it in because it rhymed and was kind of evoking what they were going for. I just don't like it. I kind of wish there was something else. And I had the thought, it was like, oh wait, who is the satanic mechanic? Is he really gonna? And then I thought, no. They just threw that line in. So again, controversial. I just don't like the line.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was kind of a lazy push for a rhyme. Not, in my opinion, the worst in this movie. There are a lot, but I agree. It's not a great line. But I just wanted to bring it up and see if I was wrong or if other people thought that it was actually talking about something.
I don't think so. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.
Okay, fair enough. So then I also had that the eyes of the bowler griffin seem to be glowing.
Yes.
Okay, good. I wasn't sure. I actually screenshotted this because I was like, they're going to tell me I'm crazy. So I screenshotted it in case I would have to defend myself. So are they glowing? Is it an optical illusion, Leandra?
No, they're glowing, and the one opposite is glowing as well. The non-bowler griffin is glowing.
These are statues that are original to the castle itself. I don't think that they came with glowing eyes. I think that it's more likely that it's some sort of multifaceted jewel that hits the light particularly well. That being said, they really look like they're glowing in this.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised, and I love being wrong when the right answer is cooler. So
yeah, I went on a rabbit hole trying to find out anything about these statues. There was nothing.
If you look up Oakley Court, there's a little bit, but not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to find the keywords.
So then the only other thing I had was the whole Breakfast Club thing with Night, Bite. When they say that, I guess when I was watching the movie, I always thought they all said those things, but we only have proof that Riff Raff says Night and Columbia says Bite. Thoughts?
Well, and we know, for instance, that Magenta's definitely not saying anything because she has this, like, what do you think his favorite obsession is face.
Well, but that's like, nobody says anything after obsession, so.
Oh, you mean is our Riff and Columbia saying Night, or sorry, Bite and, yeah, Night and Bite.
And Bite. Yeah. I always thought that all three of them were saying that. I don't that doesn't seem to be anybody else's opinion. So like when I play Magenta, for example, I keep my mouth shut. But that's what I thought growing up.
Well, you keep your mouth recording the same voice that says Night. It sounds like the same voice that says Bite, right?
Yeah. It sounds like multiple people to me, but
I would love to say that there is an alternate shot of this that confirms or denies that. But as far as I know, there is not. I know that in the Rocky Horror Show, this is often something that is done in chorus. So it is Riff, Columbia, Magenta saying Night and Bite. But I don't know if that translated to the film.
Well, that makes more sense then.
One of the things that I noticed in this is at the beginning of this, that we have, well, you got caught with a flat, well, how about that? That's because Brad has just said that they had some car trouble. Frankenfurter rightfully says, that's not car trouble. You had a flat tire, you lying assholes.
Yeah.
So I think that that's kind of interesting.
That is, who told him he had a flat? This is one of those, nobody ever said we had a flat.
Yeah, and they keep saying that their car broke down. My only guess is that Frankenfurter was watching them eerily.
I mean, the motorcyclists did go right by it.
Oh, that's fair.
That's true.
Yeah, Perry Bedden probably told him.
Yeah.
Come on. He caused it, right?
I mean, maybe.
I'm not sure. I think that it would be pretty magical if he did, but I don't know that they show enough of a reason for this blowout unless while they were at the wedding they like slit the tires or something.
Sure. I mean, yeah, it doesn't make any sense because Brad gets it while backing up over the area that he had just driven forward over. So presumably if he ran over something, he would have run over it on the way forward. But maybe like they just put like a stick of dynamite inside his tire or something.
That's funny. Okay, so there's two, and I didn't talk about this in a previous minute, but there's two assumptions I've had, or I had for a long time. This was one of them that they caused the flat somehow. Either Frank or the Transylvanians or somebody. And also for the longest time, and I just want to know if you guys ever thought this, I thought it was Tim Curry's lips at the beginning.
Oh.
Oh.
Because in the reveal of Frank, his lips are done up, and I was like, oh, that was him at the beginning. And this was, years and years and years ago before I would look up still frames on the internet. Boy, I sound old. But anyway, that was my assumption for the longest time.
That's fair. I think it's a fair assumption.
Yeah. And I do a lot of, back in my day, we didn't have fancy things like Facebook. So I definitely can appreciate kind of I just said something that ages me quite poorly. Kelly, do you have any other deets that you wanted to go through?
I do not. I hit all of mine besides callbacks.
Okay, so it's I that is the asshole. So in the Breakfast Club moment, you get this real nice close-up on the shoes that we talked about while they're in Columbia's face. And the heels are scattered with 20 or so rhinestones, and some are blue and some are green. And if you look at the Blu-ray, the rhinestones can also be seen on the black part of the stone, which I think is just a really gorgeous detail. The major prop / set piece about this specific minute is the throne. And this throne is black velvet upholstered chair with silver arms and super ornate decoration. Sean Hall, who I've already said is awesome because he's done a lot of research on the Crim book. He also has on his website, rockyhorror.design, a very nice photo of a similarly shaped and sized chair that was auctioned off in 2010. And it really does look like it is exactly the same carving of the throne, but they just painted and reupholstered. And those dimensions, for those of us that care, are it's 55 inches tall by 32 inches by 26 inches, and it's fully carved out of walnut. And as I've scrolled through this several times, we in a previous minute kind of alluded to the fact that the internet seems to think that Easter eggs, that phrase, came from the Rocky Horror Picture Show because they had an Easter egg hunt on set and they didn't pick up all of the eggs. The very much like tinfoil hat, aha, this is it sort of moment is in this piece. Because if you look under the throne, there's kind of this cross section of wood kind of giving a little bit more girth to the base itself to make it a little more bottom heavy. And right at the top of that, some people were like, oh, that's definitely an egg. And I'm looking at it and I think that it's just a nice detail on the ornamentation.
Definitely.
And
crazy rumor I heard that was Tim Curry's lips at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, and also, did you know that there's a pool on the top of the school?
Oh, and I'm gonna blow your guys' mind. The castle is a hotel now.
What? And the only other thing that I wanted to throw out there about this is our cast has a particularly hideous representation of this throne. I was living in an apartment and somebody had thrown out this bamboo chair and it was just disgusting. And I went, well, this is better than a folding chair. So we took it, we spray painted it silver, and then added some black cushions to it. And that is our throne. And we've had it for well over a decade now. And anytime I say, we're going to replace that with something else, people go, no, it's ours. And there's even somebody that works at our theater who would occasionally steal it so that he could create horror films where it's the star. And these are on YouTube. If you look up Ghost Chair, you will find multiple very short horror films about our clearly possessed shitty chair.
Yeah, I can confirm I've seen these.
And honestly, I love them.
Did you hide an Easter egg under it?
Oh, I should. Oh man, I should really like take some wire and try and swing it around and like go, this is an Easter egg, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
But those are all the details that I had. And I'm sure that you have some callbacks that you want to talk through, though.
I do. Not as many as I've had in previous moments, but I have a few. First of all, when he says, babies, don't you panic, you should scream as though you're panicking. And that one's fun because you can really put your back into it and really scream. When he goes up in front of the throne and Columbia gets next to him and he's doing the chorus again, the beat is right for you to go boom chicka boom chicka boom chicka boom, and that's fun. When he says maybe a bite, people will often say or a lick because she licks her lips at that point. I don't like that one as much because she's clearly she also does a bite motion. Now, when he says, I'll show you my favorite obsession, the classic one that I always used to hear is to respond with sex, which is the obvious thing. I also have heard alternatives like puppies or something like that, which I think is actually funnier.
That's my fault, at least at our show.
Yeah. So there's that. And then I've been making a man, and he's playing with Riff Raff's disgusting hair at that point. So he said, at that point, you can say, not this man. And then he adds, with blonde hair and a tan. And then you can say, definitely not this man. Or you can say, I've been making a man with no hair and no tan, which is also good. And finally, before tension, you can say, anal. That's what I got.
And that's a fair amount of the ones that I have. I did a little bit of cross-researching with some other audience participation scripts. The slightly different ones that we have are, well, you got caught with a flat well. How about this? Fuck my cat, meow woof.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I like that one particularly well. And then the only other callback that I wanted to talk about is, you said anal tension. You can also say sexual tension.
Yeah.
So that's really it.
Yeah. Not the best minute for callback. When there's a song, especially a really engaging song, I feel like there's fewer callbacks.
I was going to say, with the eyebrow raise, you really don't need anything else.
No.
Agreed.
Yeah.
What else can you say, really?
I think that we've kind of talked this one a bit to death.
Perhaps.
So let's go ahead and wrap this up the same way that we always do, with now.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
So get the fuck out.